We are near Page, Arizona. Looking at these mountains. They're absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Look at the colors. I wish that my phone didn't suck so bad so it would pick up these beautiful colors. You can't even see the details and stuff like I can. It sucks because it's so beautiful. Well, we've got quite a ride. So, what I wanted to talk about today is family. I'm going through something with my family. Everybody I know is always going through something with their family, right? My mother is evil. Just flat out and simple. My mother's evil. We've always had problems. We've never gotten along. She's evil. So, I'm going through something and I want to see that if... I guess I just want to get it out because I don't want it to fester. I have enough problems and stuff that I need to think about that I don't need to waste time on this. I've come to accept... Look at that. I've come to accept in my life that just because it's family doesn't mean that we have to stay and take their abuse or we'd have to put up with their crap. Just because they're tied to you by blood does not mean that they should be tied to you in life. If they're not good for you, then leave them. And thank God that I live about 10 hours away from her. So I don't have to see her until I come through town. And now that this is happening, I'm not even doing that. Okay, let me go back and let you know everything that happened. Okay. My dad, my grandmother, and his oldest sister were my close family. They were my saviors. My mother was extremely terrible to me. And even though they didn't stand up and do as much as they should have done to stop what was going on, they were the ones who taught me what love was. Because that's who picked me back up. That's who built my confidence back up. That's who let me know that love didn't have to hurt. Okay, my dad passed away 5 years ago. And when he passed away, my grandmother, my grandmother had had a stroke about 7 years before he passed away. So her health had started to slip a little. Right before he passed away, he asked me to take care of them. He's like, you have to, that you have to take care of them. He knew that my mom really didn't want that responsibility. She just didn't. She always kind of, you flip the camera because I'm going to try to get these. She didn't want that responsibility. So when he told me that, a few days before he died, the last time he saw his mother and his sisters, of course I said yes. So when grandmother started getting to the point where her health started going down, she started falling, she needed somebody to come and stay with her all the time. I lived in Missouri with my family, but I told her, I said, I will move down here because they're in South Carolina. I said, I will move down here right now. I said, me and my family will pack up and we will be down here within a month. And I'm in it. I'd already called my husband, everything, and told him we were moving. Well, when my mom and my older sister, she's 2 years younger than me, but she's the oldest of my sisters. When they found out about this, they I don't know, they not necessarily talked me out of it, I don't think, but they made it sound like I was being ridiculous. They was like, he didn't mean that literally. Well, when you tell somebody to take care of somebody, how do you not mean that literally? It's like, we live down here and you live all the way up there and, we got it and if we need your help, we'll let you know and blah, blah, blah. So, my dumbass listened to him and went back to Missouri. Well, it wasn't long after I went back to Missouri that we moved down to Florida. So we were about the same distance away. I just guess since being back in the South, I felt closer. Anyway, my grandmother passed away. It'll be a year on Mother's Day this year. And When she passed away, it made my aunt executor. We decided to make her executor of my grandmother's will, which I knew there was some reason that my mother and my sister were putting her up to this, because my aunt has glaucoma and she has macular degeneration, and this woman is a pack rat, a hoarder. So she can't hold on to any paperwork. She has no clue what to do with it. Just mention the word court and she gets flustered. I mean, she can't handle that responsibility, and they knew it. And I knew that there had to be some reason why they were putting her up to it. So I've recently found out what that was. My aunt moved, my sister, this sister, was living out there at the time. They actually, after I volunteered to come down and move in with my grandmother, they went out there and jerked my grandmother out of her home where she had been for over 60 years. Jerked her out of her home, put her in the home with my mother, in the room where my father passed away. Now, if that isn't mentally cruel, I don't know what is. But they jerked her out of her home, saying she needed constant care. Well, she wasn't getting any more constant care at my mother's house than she was at her own, because my mother works 6 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. So, and don't feel bad for her. She does it because she wants to. She does it because she wants to, not because she has to. Look at that rock. Look at that rock. Okay. That was funny. Okay, so they jerked my grandmother out of her house and put her over there. Said that she needed constant care. She needed somewhere or somebody could take care of her. Well, my sister moved in. And I'm like, okay, no big deal. I didn't want to live out there. I loved it growing up, but now it's grown up so much around her land. People moving in, and just, I don't want it. I didn't want it. Didn't want to live out there. Still don't want to live out there. She moved in. They started making renovations to the trailer and making it where, like my sister wanted it. My sister's taste. She's a little uppity. Making it her taste, or country taste, or chic country, or whatever it was. Well, my grandmother died. It'll be a year this year. They started talking about how the property was going to be willed, even though my grandmother already had a will in place. So this is the original will. The original will said that the land would be divided into 3 among my grandmother's children. My dad passed away, so since my dad passed away and she didn't change her will, it automatically goes to his children, not the wife. My mother thought that it was going to come to her. Does not go to the wife in South Carolina. It goes to the children. So, now, when all said and done, I think we all probably have, there's 4 of us, girls, because my parents adopted my oldest child, my girl. So there's 4 of us that are going to divide like 3.5 acres or something like that. Ridiculous, right? So next thing I know, I'm hearing about signing the land over to my sister. Everybody just signing the land over to my sister and letting her stay on out there and all this and all that. In other words, she's trying to get land. Look at these rocks. Oh, I gotta pull it over. I gotta see this. Oh, shit. Can't pull over. Look at that. Look at it. Like an ice cream cone. Oh, look, there's one there too. It's a little door. Get back on the road here. We gotta go. Been up all night, but I want to definitely mark this on my map first, so I can come back to it. Okay, my sister. And I was like, are you out of your mind? I said, no, I'm not signing anything over to my sister. This sister hates me. And half of it's probably deserved because I was a teetotal terror. I got beat up, so I beat her up. It's just the way it works, right? I've apologized many times, and she looks down her nose at me, always has, so I fuck her, right? So I'm like, no. I'm like, if my grandmother would have wanted my sister to have her land, she would have left it to her. She did not leave it to her. You know, I hate to say it, and it's bad of anybody to show favoritism among relatives, but I was my grandmother's favorite child, and I think that was because I was the first grandchild, and she felt like she had to make up for my mom, you know? So we were extremely close. And if she wanted anybody to have that land, it would have been me. So I'm like, no. And I put my foot down and say, absolutely not. I said, if you try to take this land, because the next thing coming out of my aunt's mouth, and my aunt I love her, but she's not coming up with this shit by herself. I mean, it would never cross her mind. It's my sisters and my sister and my mother that's getting her to say and do all this. So the next thing I know, I talked to my aunt, because I talk to her quite regularly. She's talking about, what was she saying? I lost my train of thought now. She's talking about how Melissa should have, my sister, I say her name, screw her. She's talking about how she should have the land because she's made all these improvements. Well, my sister had made improvements to the land because she'd come out there and fix the fence in the pasture, but she fixed the fence in the pasture because she wanted to have horses out there. I told my aunt real fast, I'm like, there was nothing that she, improved in the trailer. Not that I give a shit about the trailer, I don't. But there's nothing she improved in that trailer. She redecorated to make it her style. She didn't ask anybody. She didn't ask my grandmother to do it. She just went in and done it. So that don't entitle you to anything, period. And I let my aunt know that. Well, I knew exactly who this crap was coming from. This is not the first time my mother's tried to screw me over like this. So I picked up the phone and I called my mother, and I told her exactly what I told my aunt, that every improvement my sister had made out there had been for her benefit and hers alone. That doesn't entitle her to anything. And if she try to take the land from me, I will see them in court. And I hung up. Done. End of conversation, right? These diabolical bitches, I swear. So they moved out. My sister and her husband, they moved out and moved my aunt in. My aunt was in a little like apartment for disabled people and stuff. They moved her out, moved her in. Fine, I guess. It's been mentally hard on her because that was her mother's house. It's hard. And my mother is still doing her business behind it. I mean, my mother's specialty is coming in on our dying relatives and wiping them out. Point blank and honest, she comes in and she wipes them out. She treats them like shit. She has no bedside manner. She doesn't really want to take care of them, but she wants their money. She wants to look back when somebody passes away or when they're really sick and friends and family start popping in and everybody's giving her the sympathy. She's got Munchausen syndrome, I guess. Isn't that what it's called when it's Munchausen by proxy or whatever? Yeah, that's her. Dude, that's exactly her. So I'm not talking to her. I hear crazy shit coming out of my aunt's mouth, and every time I do, I know as soon as she says something, whether it's her or my mom, I know it. So I mean, it's no big secret, to me. And I thought that when I made it clear that I would take them to court if they tried to pull any funny business, that it would end, that it would be over with, and that would be it, right? No. Not even a year later, and my mom has got her hands in my grandmother's bank account. My aunt is on disability. She's worked her whole life and got diabetes, and her health went right down the toilet. So she's on disability, and she's worked her life, so she's put in, But my mom, she's putting money for the trailer payment because it's got like a year or so left to pay on it. She is putting her money from her checks into that account to pay the bills. My mother has her leave her cash money so she supposedly can go by the store and get her groceries and her whatever else she needs. You know, they take it out of this, they call it the cash bowl. And I am just completely baffled, because my aunt is extremely trusting. She knows how wicked my mother is, but she don't want to believe it. And now she's got this. Now she's got my aunt and my grandmother. And my grandmother didn't have much. She was a pretty simple woman, but she worked her whole life. I mean, from the time she could walk to the time she was 76 years old, she worked every day. You know, she's a hard worker. She always was. In fact, her health didn't go down until after she quit working. And that's some shit. But anyway, my mother's got her hand right back in the finances. She's got her hand right back in it. I am so thoroughly pissed off. I can't even see straight. And I cannot let this eat me up anymore. Because if I do, I'm going to do something rash and something stupid. And I can't afford to do that. I have to build my case and wait for what's coming. My mother has screwed me out of inheritance pretty much my whole life. Yeah, pretty much my whole life. She screwed me out of inheritance. My mother was adopted by later in life people. So all of their, you know, brothers and sisters, all her aunts and uncles were older. You know, I grew up around older people. Grandfather passed away. Nothing. Didn't nothing. But I was only almost 13, I think. So you didn't think nothing about it. The only thing that I thought about it was our college's education was supposed to have been paid for. We were supposed to get a new car when we graduated to go to college in. And all that was gone. My mom said that there was no money. If only I'd have known how often I was going to hear that in my life from her after somebody passed away. Then several aunts passed away, and like I said, I was young. It wasn't until my grandmother, her adoptive mom, or her aunt, it's a complicated story, but until she passed away. And then I got court papers for the first time, and it said that, you know, how much that she had left me, how much she had left my children, and we never saw a dime of that money. She come back and said, you know, I just don't have it. She said, by the time I got through paying all of Grandma's bills and everything else, she said, I just don't have it. She said, I'd have to sell the house to give you this money. Now, granted, it wasn't even $10,000. So I'm like, okay, whatever. You know, I've gotten divorced several times. You've helped me out with the children. You know, okay, whatever. And we never discussed it anymore. I just let it go. Well, then I had one of my grandmother's sisters got breast cancer. And when they told her that, you know, it was terminal, she had a mastectomy and all that stuff. Told her it was terminal. I moved in with her. I was living in North Carolina. I come down and I moved in with her. And yes, I bounced around quite often. Moved in with her to take care of her for her last. They gave her 6 months. So I come down to take care of her, run her doctor's appointments, to pay her bills, and to take care of her. Food, you know, wiping her butt, everything, giving her a bath. I came in to take care of her. She ended up living 1.5 years. Yay, you go, Aunt Willie. Strong woman. She was not ready to go. And she enjoyed everything but the last, 2 months. The last 2 months were pretty rough. We were supposed to get an inheritance from that too. Well, Mom gave I'm not going to even do hearsay on that. I don't know what she did with my younger sisters. One of them has told me something like paying off a college bill, or I don't know. She told me that she took mine to pay for my car, to finish paying my car off, and then she gave me, it's like right at $3,000. I call horseshit on this. I don't think that what she did was right, and then I don't think that what she did was legal. I don't know about that. I mean, I really don't know. I know that some of the things she did there at the end weren't legal, because Mom swooped in and emptied bank accounts like the night before she passed away. She come in that evening and knew that, you know, we were about to lose her, and went and emptied some bank accounts. Regardless, again, my father got sick. She talked him into moving absolutely everything over to her. No big deal. You know, it's my dad. You know, he didn't have much. It was all in my mom's name. You know, I understand all of that. Didn't want anything. The only thing that would have been nice is if she would have held to her and my dad's word and gave my son the truck that he was supposed to have. That's my biggest contention with her and my father passing away. And I didn't get anything. You know, I think it was a week or two after he passed away, they packed me up and shipped me off. You know, bye. I didn't get a shirt. I didn't get anything. Nothing. So that kind of hurt, you know. I could have stayed around and helped clean all that out. I could have stayed around and went through stuff and seen, hey, you know, this might have been something I wanted to keep, you know, of my father's. But I was pushed out. You know, my mother and my oldest sister pushed out, bye, go home to your family. So now they're doing it to my grandmother. And like I said, my grandmother really doesn't have any money, so I'm not worried about it. The land has been in our family for over 100 years, so yeah, that concerns me a little bit. And when we started going back and forth on this, I'm like, you know what? Forget about it. It's too much of a hassle. It's too much going back and forth with you guys. I'll just, when the will is read and is passed over and signed over, I'll turn mine and sign mine over to my son right away. I said, he wants it. He can have it. Y'all not going to take it from him, because he's not going to give it to you. So, I don't know, that was kicked around for a little while, but now I'm right back to the same thing, and back to the on point. I want nothing else to do with my mom, period. I've been hurt too bad for way too long. I've been dealing with pain from her since I was 4 years old, and I'm going to be 41 this year, and that's a long time to hurt. You know, that it's just a long time to hurt, and I'm done with it. Right now, all she is a mom to me. I mean, I don't even know if I still love her, and I know that's bad to say, but it's kind of true. It really is kind of true. I mean, she's just evil, and she don't give a shit about anybody but herself. Or maybe my sister, because that's her favorite, and I'm not joking. That is her favorite. That's her mini-me. So I'm kind of done with it. When I went home last time, I didn't even tell her I was coming in. I was at my younger sister's house, and she come by and saw me there and poked her lip out that she wanted to stick her nose in my finances, and I shut it down real quick. You know, I'm 41. You don't have any business knowing about my finances. Just know that I'm not going to take care of you when you're old. You've got another daughter for that. But don't stay around family if they hurt you. Just like this sister. I mean, I've lived my life now without her for years. We're not close. We went through some shit, and like I said, you know, I was terrible to her. I apologized. Tried to make it better. And all she can do is think she's better than me, because she holds down a job, and I don't know. That's another subject altogether. I finally found the career that I like. Finally, after all this time, and she's just held a job and plugged along at it for, 20-something years now. And she thinks that makes her better than me. Even though we've had the same amount of marriages, almost the same amount of children. I have one more child than she did. And we basically started at the same age. So we have kind of had a parallel life, sort of. But she thinks she's better than me, and I don't have time for that. If you think you're better than me, then power to you, sister. Have a good life. I hope you're happy. I'm happy without you. I'm sure you're happy without me. Enough said. We don't have any reason to speak, do we? No. Don't let family make you miserable.